Hi, I'm Jonna Jennings with the University of Illinois Extension, and I work in Boone, DeKalb, and Ogle counties with the 4-H program. It's my pleasure today to bring to you Module 6, which is going to be preparing for hatching. So we are on day 18, which means we are only a few days away from our chicks actually getting ready to hatch. So there's a few things that we're going to need to do to get our incubator ready and to get our chicks ready to know which way is up as they get ready to hatch out of that egg. So some of those things that we're going to do is we're always going to make sure our hands are washed before we touch the eggs, especially to make sure that we keep our hands germ-free and making sure that we don't have anything going into the eggs as the chicks are developing. Those pores will absorb lots of information and bacteria, so we want to make sure that our hands are nice and clean. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to add more water. We need to increase the amount of humidity that's going to be taking place in our incubator so that the chicks can actually crack through the shell. We'll be doing that by adding water in our second channel. In some cases, depending on the incubators you might have, there may be a second channel, or you may be adding some sponges and keeping them moist for the next 3 days. This is done just on a daily basis, so making sure that you're actually increasing your humidity. The other thing we're going to do is when we're going to take them out of that egg turner. They no longer need to rotate. They need to now find which end is up and get themselves in position. So we are going to take that egg turner out. We're going to lay out some nice cheesecloth. Cheesecloth is just a gauzy kind of material. You can buy them at any of your retail stores typically, or fabric store. We're going to lay that out on our rack, and the purpose for that is it's going to help our chicks as they go to hatch. It's going to help with our cleanup a little bit too in our incubator as well, so that when the chicks actually are hatching, it's a little easier to clean up all that mess out of there, and it helps them to dry a little better. So we're going to do all that. We're going to get ready for our hatching, and then our next module we're going to talk a little bit about how we get ready, our brooders ready for the chicks. Hi there, so I've washed my hands, we're ready to go, and we're going to get our eggs and our incubator ready for hatching. I'm going to take my lid off, set my thermometers off to the side as well, and what we're going to do now is we're actually going to lift that egg turner all the way out and just set it on a table. And we're going to take our wire rack out too right now. And you're going to see where the humidity kind of makes a mess out of our rack because it gets the food coloring everywhere, but that's okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to fill up channel 2. So like again I said, if you do not have water channels like this incubator, you need to read the instructions on your incubator to see exactly what it is you need to do. But our goal is going to be to fill up just channel 2 and 1 now to make sure we have enough humidity. As we get ready, we're filling this up. What we want to do too is chick eggs do not want to be wet. I think I made a comment about that earlier. Our goal is going to be to get everything ready without actually getting our eggs wet. And that also means making sure we don't put too much water in to the point that our cheesecloth is going to wick it up. So we want to make sure we have our humidity, but not to the point where we're going to actually absorb. So I'm going to take just a little bit out of channel 1 because it looks like it's maybe at the very top already. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put our rack back in and make sure that everything's in place. I'm going to double check though. I think right now again maybe my water is a little too high. So I may take out just a little bit more to make sure that we're not wicking up that water. So I've got my channels full, and I've dried off my rack. I wanted to make sure I got rid of any extra moisture so that my cheesecloth won't wick up the water. And now I'm going to open up my cheesecloth, and I'm going to lay it on the rack so that it's ready for the eggs to go on it. So I want to make sure too that I give myself still some clean area where I can put the water in, because I'm going to still need to make sure I check the water on a daily basis. And so I want to make sure I don't put it anywhere where I'm actually going to have to put the water in and the cheesecloth will get wet. So this looks pretty good right now. And all I'm going to do is take my eggs and lay them throughout the incubator. At this point in time, our chicks are getting ready for the hatching, and what they're going to be doing is they're going to be absorbing the yolk before they hatch, and that's going to give them the energy they need to actually crack their way through the shell. They do that by, it goes through their navel, and then during that process, after they absorb it, the navel actually heals and it gets the chick ready for the hatching process. The chick is going to place their head at the big end by that air cell to get ready for the hatching. And the one thing they're going to use is they're going to use their egg tooth. It's the only time a chicken actually has a tooth, and that is actually when the egg is going to hatch. And so it uses that egg tooth to break the shell, and then the egg tooth will actually fall off. So it's kind of like having the tooth fairy, but it only has one tooth, and that is it. So we're going to sit here and be patient. We have to wait for our chicks to decide when it's ready for them to come. But typically they are more on time than ever a human is. And so we anticipate that they'll be hatching within the next couple of days. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed. We're going to let them get out on their own because it's not good for us to actually help them. It's only the strong will survive mentality. So they have to be strong enough to actually peck their way out of the shell in order to make it. So we're going to sit back, let them take their time, and it will be a longer process for some than others. Some may hatch in a short period of time. Others may take several hours or even a day before they get out. So patience is a virtue in this process. So we're going to sit tight and hope for the best.